just entered the theater of an alien sky. If the words and images seem strange to you, there's a reason for this. Our world was once a vastly different place. To experience this won't hurt you, and there is nothing to fear. In these discourses, our goal has been to identify the cross-cultural patterns of world mythology and religious symbolism, the archetypes. With these deepest patterns as a starting point, our goal has been to show how they arose under the influence of extraordinary natural events. Extraordinary events in the ancient sky, events not occurring today, can only mean that a fundamental assumption guiding the theoretical sciences is mistaken. You can call this the uniformity principle. Simply put, it declares that the present is the key to the past, as today, so before. So astronomers typically draw on computer simulations to represent the dynamic motions of planets and moons in ancient times. All they need to do is run their simulations in reverse. Of course, if the underlying conditions in the solar system have changed, then it should go without saying that the present could not be the key to the past. In which case, computer simulations of ancient conditions are simply instruments of self-deception. Based on systematic research over more than 40 years, we've challenged every idea derived from modern assumptions. It was explicit ancient evidence that led us to describe a gathering of planets close to Earth in ancient times. Our line of reasoning began with a prehistoric mother goddess, then led us upward to the first mythical images inspired by a planetary gathering we've called the polar configuration. From that starting point, we could follow the configuration's dynamic evolution over time, observing its direct impact on commemorative practices and ancient storytelling on every habitable continent. By immersing ourselves in the ancient evidence, we exposed the substructure of myth-making globally, when unstable planets extremely close to Earth were seen as divine rulers of the sky. The ancient sky worshippers are, in fact, the most compelling witnesses to events that inspired every mythic archetype we've now documented. Unified and testable reconstruction. From this radical vantage point, we've asked entirely new questions. Why did every culture on Earth celebrate a towering god at the center and summit of the sky? A power said to have presided over a lost golden age. What are the first creation stories telling us? What's meant by the repeated insistence that the Creator himself brought forth a shining home of the gods in primeval times? Or the seemingly ludicrous location of that dwelling at the celestial pole? Or the god's subsequent fall from his primordial position? In these stories, we also meet a larger cast of ancestral gods and goddesses. A divine mother, a central star of light and life, magically radiating her divine essence through the theater of the gods. Or the subsequent attack of a chaos monster or Medusa figure, seeking to destroy the created world. Or the paradoxical identity of this very monster as the terrible aspect of the original love goddess. Or a warrior hero magically born to rescue the world from unpredictable chaos powers. Or a cosmic mountain rising from the abyss to support the divine habitation above. Or the great wheel turning in the sky, the most revered symbol of the sovereign god, the goddess and the warrior in their primeval conjunction. Though the stories have come down to us in diverse forms, the transformative realization is the discovery that different words and different mythic interpretations point to the same archetypal substructure of world mythology and symbolism. In the end, we've learned it's this underlying unity that opens the door to a mind-altering shift in perception, the realization that our cosmic environment has radically changed. What has come down to us as elusive fragments can then be seen as echoes of an alien sky still haunting us from the past. The surprising truth today is that a massive library of known archetypes can now be named, though not a single archetype has ever been explained in conventional terms, not a single one. Yes, we've all seen various claims to have explained one archetype or another, but then when we investigate, we discover that no proposed explanation has actually met the acid test. No one has identified a natural condition under which the archetype would be explicitly expected. In contrast to this state of things, we've named many dozens of widely distributed archetypes, all inseparably connected to each other, and all suggesting a concrete but extraordinary cause in natural experience, which means that the events from which the ancient myths arose are not occurring today. In this new paradigm, no archetype lies outside a plausible explanation, and every archetype leads to a larger, inseparably connected complex of themes. The universal myth of an original paradise or golden age leads invariably to memories of a founding king, the first in the line of kings, presiding over the golden age. But then we meet the outrageous identity of that luminary as an ancient sun god seen in the sky before the present sun. And then, even more outrageous, is the explicit identity of that primeval sun as the now remote planet Saturn. And still more outrageous is the location of the improbable power at the celestial pole, a location never visited by any planet in our sky today. Hence the logical question: how could a concrete, highly coherent set of ideas arise to find direct and obvious observation at every turn? Of course, the reasonable answer is that the coherence is due to a human experience as yet unrecognized, not imagination conjuring worlds never experienced. In all of this, we see that it's the traditions closest to the original human experience that leads us to the most extraordinary story elements. Here we confront the descent of the world into chaos and darkness, the attack of a fiery serpent or dragon, the heaven-altering wars of the gods, and most significantly, the earth-shaking power of the cosmic thunderbolt, a weapon simply out of this world, with no similarity to lightning in today's sky, but perfectly matching the complex morphology of high-energy electric discharge in the plasma laboratory. Suddenly, a revolutionary scientific interpretation enters the picture, shifting the attention to new fields of evidence, all confirming the same underlying story. And of course, the end of the story is just as extraordinary as the rest, the renewal of celestial order within a radically transformed world. But just consider the big picture implications. From beginning to end, the ancient narrative affirms that today's sky bears no connection to the primeval sky under which the myth-making phase of human history arose. And what distinguishes that environment above all else is the pervasive impact of an extraordinary planetary system, highly electrified, as we shall next demonstrate, and provoking all of humanity to entirely new forms of cultural expression.